Hello.
Hi, Hayley. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Happy to be here in Marshfield.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming, by the way. I know
Yeah.
we're a little out of the way.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm willing to go to any public access station in Massachusetts. Like, I will be there. Just invite me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So this is Katherine Mooney, and so a little background about Katherine. She is the production coordinator at Walpole Media. Mm-hmm. Previously, the production and facilities manager at Bedford TV.
That's right.
And then before that, used to work for the mayor's office in Boston, shooting meetings, press conferences, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, the city of Boston's broadband and cable office. Which
Nice.
It's a variety of things, but really was just the G in like the government station in Boston. So
nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have very extensive experience in public access, so
Well,
more than me
as
at
much as you
least.
can, yeah.
So welcome, happy to have you here. So a little background on how we connected. Katherine and I met at a little Mass Access. In addition to their big conference, does these little tiny, I guess you can call them like little baby conferences called Mass Access Meet and Greets. And I went to the one in Drake-it because at the time I was living in Chelmsford, and I was like, I would rather go to the one that's 20 minutes from me.
Right, yeah, right up the street. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then so we connected there, and sure enough, kept up the relationship, and now we're here podcasting.
It's important to stick together.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's good.
When you're in this industry, it's important to continue those relationships, especially like among the younger employees at public access stations. I think because they're really we have to have the passion to keep our stations going. So I mean, I was happy to be here. I was happy to meet people at that. Man, Drake-it has a pretty good station, don't they?
It's so nice. It's actually really crazy. Like, first of all, it's huge. Like, their studio.
I walked in, I was like, oh my goodness.
Their office itself is even, like, gorgeous. And then just walking into their giant broadcast studio, I was like, wow, I want this.
Right, the dream.
It's actually really funny because, like, so I grew up in Jersey, but, like,
So did I.
I know, a fellow Jersey girl. I'm so excited about this.
I called Hayley because, like many stations, Marshfield's located inside the high school, so I'm, like, wandering throughout the halls and, like, which is fine because I'm used to it. It's, like, another day at work for me, and, I see that she's calling, and it's a New Jersey area code, and I'm like, it's been a long time since I've seen this. But it was comforting, so
nice.
Made me feel more at home here.
I know, it's really funny because I had missed your initial call and I saw the 609. I was like, I just assume any call I get that's not a Massachusetts area code is a spam, and I was like, wait, no, this is
this is right. Yeah.
And then I was like, it's you. So it brings me back. Not too far from my neck of the woods because I grew up in Edison and you're from Freehold.
Yeah, like Freehold Heights town area.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you miss the food?
Yeah, I miss the food a lot. I actually found, like, I'm not a snob in, like, any way. Like, I've honestly, like, pretty, like, lowbrow taste in some areas. But, like, one thing that I didn't realize I was a snob in is pizza.
Yes.
Until I moved to Massachusetts. And I didn't want to be. I don't want to be obnoxious, you know what I mean? But, like, besides some of the stuff I've had in the North End and, like, maybe Regina's on a good day, I've not had good pizza. But I found the best pizza I've had in Massachusetts, and apparently it's right down my street. So
where is it?
It's called Stella's Pizza in Watertown, so,
I'll make the trip, that's fine.
Just go, I'm serious, like, just let me know if we'll go, because it is, like, really good. It's, like, the closest I've had to, like, Jersey pizza.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I know, I'm a pizza snob, I'm a bagel snob, because I actually just stopped at a bagel place, like, by here, and then I was like...
something's different in the water,
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, like my boyfriend even described it. He's like, it's not even like they use the New York water.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have it here.
Yep.
So, I know. So, yeah. So, well, first of all, why don't you describe your current position at Walpole Media?
Current position. So, there's a lot of names for this position from what I've come across. Like, a lot of times people call it, like, in Bedford, I was the production facilities manager. Here, I'm the production coordinator. I've heard, production manager here. It's all very similar, and it's like the basically second to the executive director, just someone who keeps day-to-day operations going while the executive director handles like the administrative stuff and like town politics and membership and policies and like all the kind of stuff that goes along with like running a public access station on the administrative end. Whereas I sort of deal with like the day-to-day editing, covering events, reaching out to members, planning shoots, like any sort of outreach, just anything to keep everything going.
That's crazy because like I feel like your position is kind of a combination of different positions like we have here, especially the membership part, because we have Kayla, who's our marketing and membership manager. She handles like all the membership stuff, and then so it's very interesting to hear like in other stations, like
it's very different.
just like it's the same jobs we do, but they fall under kind of different titles. Like I think your job at Bedford was kind of like, so like I'm a production assistant here, but like your job at Bedford was kind of like basically what I do here as a production assistant. So I don't know, it's just very interesting to see like the different ways like they run. I've always been like curious about it.
Every station is different. You know, it really just, it comes down to like how many employees you have, like your resources, like how many productions you have a week. Like when I was in Bedford, we had like anywhere like 2 to 5 like weekly productions. Like we had so many like public, you know, our P and PEG was very huge. So it really just depends like on what you need to do. But right now in Walpole, it's only me and my executive director, and then like a part-time guy that does like all the meetings and stuff, and then a couple freelancers to cover like weekend events and things like that. But that's also just because at the state we're at now in our station, we need to really build up our public programming. So we don't have that demand yet, and then, you know, as we sort of build up and sort of expand and beef up our programming, then you know, I'm sure we'll find someone else. But right now we're in like we're you know, just very base level, like, you know, bread and butter of the meetings and like a couple events we cover at our Council on Aging. But, you know, I was hired basically because, you know, I did so many original productions that like, you know, I had a sense of what we need to do to build up our public programming. So right now I'm planning to do like a series on this, like on with the Trails Committee and some sort of like natural, like basically nature of Walpole. So like, you know, doing a 4-part series on this historical farm that has a community garden and like a bunch of trails that it connects. So, you know, my plan is to just start covering events as they go out through the year and like just sort of make something of it. I don't know what it's called. I'm really bad with coming up with names for shows, but I'm sure it'll come to me at some point. So yeah, that's basically what I'm doing right now. I've only been there for about almost 2 months now, but it's still just very much in the process of finding the people in town who know everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when you connect yourself with like different like committees and councils, that's how you meet people who know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you should cover this event, you know, whatever. Like, I don't live in Walpole, so I don't know. But that's how, you know, you have to still be a part of the community as a station. So
I know, it's like, because I'm kind of in a similar situation where it's like, as obviously I've been here in Marshfield almost 2 years, so like I know like I'm finally have started to, you know, learn what's around, learn like all the people in town. But it was like really crazy because like when I didn't know Marshfield existed until I applied for my internship.
Right. Of course.
So just like slowly learning about all the things that are in town, and then hearing the stories about town. So and I really like what you said about trying to, you know, even though if you don't live there, you're not from there, still trying to be part of the community. Because I think that's really important. Because like, I know for me personally, I joined like one of the Marshfield like town Facebook groups, which is really just people posting, why isn't the trash been picked up?
Of course.
But just seeing what's going on in town, and then
you get your best info. It's right from you know, everyone's mouth. You know what I mean? It's like people aren't always going to go to meetings, but you know they're going to be on Facebook. So exactly. It's, like, very smart. And I've also found that since I've been working at PEG stations, I feel a desire to be more involved in my own community, right? Because, you know, I live in Watertown, like I lived in Brighton, like just kind of all over Boston, like greater Boston area, and I just kind of like did whatever, but because I didn't know these things existed. So, you know, now that I know what I'm looking for, because I work at PEG Station, I know all about the different committees and the different, like, you know, events and things that you can participate in, because it's like our job is to cover those events.
Right.
Now I can like look into my own town and see, oh, there's like the Watertown Gardeners Association. Sign me up for that. I'm trying to grow kale this summer. You know what I mean? So I really think being part of these types of stations really bring you back to sort of like, you know, a local understanding of like your community. And I think that's something that everyone can benefit from.
Oh, yeah. It's also like, going off that, it's also like kind of helped me notice like how very similar and like different towns, even within the state, can be.
Exactly.
Because I lived in Chelmsford before I moved to Boston, and so I was experienced here with like, especially after interning, seeing, you know, Council on Aging and then town meeting, hearing about that, and then realizing that Chelmsford does it the exact same way. And this helps you learn like so much about just how your town runs.
Right, exactly.
Just even going out and filming like a meeting. I think that's so important, because like it's actually one of the questions I was going to ask you, like, why is public access so important? And it's exactly what you said, because it helps people like people should know like what's happening in their town, and like who better than the station that's actually within your town to tell you everything that's going on.
I fully believe like PEG, public access, you know, community media, TV, it's all like it's probably the most authentic and democratic forms of media that exists, in my opinion, because it's like it's almost like a counter force to the commercialization of, you know, cable news and stuff like that, which are owned by huge companies. When you have like all these opinions and all of these like community members coming together to create original programming and also speak on behalf of members of the community in like the government meetings and stuff like that, it's like it's transparency. And like the value in that alone is something that I feel like people don't understand how important that is, especially now, because, you know, it's a challenging place to be, but it's very important.
Yeah.
So
because you're hearing it like directly from the source. Like you're not hearing like I mean, this is obviously not a similar example, but it's the first thing that's coming to my head, like CNN reporting on a school committee meeting. Like you're getting the information directly from your town leaders. And also like it gives people a voice. Like you said, it's the most democratic form of media. Like we are open to anyone in the town if they want to produce something or they want to spread a message. They are totally welcome to come in here and use our studio and, you know, produce something that they're passionate about, which I think that's one of the most special things about working in this line, just working in public access, is the fact that people in town can help spread their views, you know, I totally jumbled up that thought, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course,
Yeah, I think it's a really great thing that we have here, which, you know, obviously, of course, like PEG is facing all these risks with, you know, FCC and everything, which, you know, especially because we're both, like you had said to me before, we're both pretty young. We're both, you know, kind of at the same level in our careers. So it's like kind of working toward the future of PEG and just helping it continue, which I think it's so beneficial, because this actually came up at the meet and greet in Drake that a lot of people don't really, I guess, because I can't think of a better way to say it, like care about public access programming, because all they think of it is like some, you know, person going on the air and just ranting. And that's, I mean, yes, sometimes there's the potential for that.
Which, for sure.
Of course.
But that exists everywhere also.
Exactly. That's just
podcasts.
That's like, just YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube, like, it exists everywhere. It's just like a little bit different. Yeah, it's hard. And I, you know, the optimistic side of me doesn't really think that PEG is entirely threatened, because I do think that there is like, you know, there is sort of like a support like in communities for it, and also like when you sort of show what you can offer a community, like that becomes sort of like a community resource in the same way the library is. It's like we are a free resource that's essentially like education for like digital literacy, like, and like video production. Like these things are skills that more and more people need in whatever industry they're working in. So it's like when you offer that as a free resource in the same way like you're offering information in a library, people see like the value in that, and they might be inclined to invest in it. I also think like PEG may not exist as like a cable station like it's been since the 80s, but I'm hoping to see it modernize a little bit more. You know what I mean? So it's like we have YouTube, we have on demand. It's starting to like get to that point.
Exactly.
My dream is to have like, a streaming service that's like basically mimicking anything you're sending out to like the cable station on just like a Roku app or something, where you can just tune in and like see what's going on, because I think that's important for people to know. But I think that's the optimistic side of me. But obviously there's concerns. There's concerns, when there's just concerns everywhere. Everyone knows about it. Everyone knows it.
It's something we are painfully aware about.
We're fighting.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that things like mass access exist.
Exactly.
Where, you can have this people banding together to create legislation.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
And then for those who don't know, Mass Access is basically an organization that helps community media stations kind of advocate, like you said, like helping propose legislation to kind of, I guess, save our stations. I really find it interesting what you said about like going more like futuristic, because I feel like that's kind of what we're trying to do here. The way our executive director, John Grabowski, put it, was trying to make the transition from like specifically a TV studio to a media center. Which is why we're kind of branching out into stuff like this podcast. We're using our YouTube channel a lot more.
Perfect.
And then streaming on Twitch, which has been interesting. Just like I think that's something like a lot of stations are working towards from what I've seen. Just like kind of branching out into the more like different media, which. Which I think you need to do at this point, because the way people consume media is changing. And you gotta keep up with it, or else, you're gonna kind of fall behind.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. I think, getting on with the trends, like getting on social media, just like making sure that you're spreading the word in some sense, like is the best way you can do it. And if you can get an audience, if you, then they'll keep coming back here and they'll tell their friends. It's, super important.
I also like want to go back to what you said about like that this is like such a resource for people to also not even just get information about what's happening in their community, but also to learn. I think that is one of the biggest reasons like that, we need to stick around, just because like we have a kid here who he comes in basically every day after school and he edits video. He helps out on like a weekly show, like. And, like, this kid's going to have a stacked resume.
Exactly.
Even more than I do now, like, by the time he's out of high school. So I think it's such an important resource. And then, like, people to discover their passions. Like, you can come here and say, oh, my God, like, I love filming. I love editing. And I think that is such an important resource in the community. Just because, like, sometimes, like, schools don't necessarily offer that. I know my high school had a really kind of crappy digital media program.
Yeah, and it's true. It's mutually beneficial.
Exactly.
You get the help that you want from the station, and then these kids will go on to have those skills in college and be able to really like refine it and like make something of it with that early interest. So I think it's super important to like have like the kids here. It's good to have a station like this in a high school. Like I know mine is in a high school too. It's like there's embedded interest, like people they get on board, and they carry that with them. It's also like the cool class to take, from what I've noticed at high school. It's like the waiting list for the class, like the main production class, is like has such a long waiting list. But what those kids don't know is like they can also just get involved with like Walpole Media, like it's interesting. So
it's also like fun like teaching people, because like I feel like I've learned stuff by helping people produce their own stuff, because there will be sometimes people ask me, oh, how do I do this? And I'm just like, I don't know, let's figure it out together. And then you end up learning something new, which that's been a very rewarding part of like working in this industry, is like the fact that it's so hands-on and you kind of have to like be exposed to new things.
Of course.
It's super helpful. For like you personally, because have you been, so like on your job, I know you're trying to build up public programming. Have you had people in the community kind of starting to join and produce stuff, or right now is it a lot of in-house?
A lot of it's in-house. A lot of it we sort of are going out to cover events. I think sometimes people are a little bit wary of going inside of a high school to like go like do a show sometimes. But like once they get past that and they realize like this is a free resource, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
We have like a few original shows, but really like my interest is like if people can't just like walk into like the media center and feel like totally comfortable, I'll come to them. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it also adds like, in my opinion, like variety to it. Like if you're doing field shoots, I'm always about covering event coverage and field shoots. So yeah, I mean it varies, but I would also love to have like a, you know, we have a show coming up where there's a community resource dog, and it's this golden retriever. Aww. And she literally is just like this dog that someone adopted, but was fostering, and she's like, can I just like give this dog to the community and she can do whatever? And so it's a community resource dog, and you know, does a ton of events in town. It's like so sweet, and you know, so we're gonna have the dog come into the studio, and it's gonna be crazy. Yeah,
oh my god,
that's what I'm really looking forward to.
That's amazing.
But yeah, so
I'm curious, what are some of your like favorite productions you've worked on Walpole, Bedford, anywhere, or even like in college or anything like that?
I was very, very lucky to get the job I had in Boston, even though it was pretty just standard. Like it was a skeleton crew of like videographers, and we would maybe like 4 or 5 full time, and then a couple of interns here or there. But the mayor would have like anywhere between like 1 and 5 events a day, where he would have to go around like the whole city and like do ribbon cutting ceremonies and stuff like that. So I saw the mayor every day. Like I like he knew my name at one point. Like it was cool. It was like cool to see that. I saw a bunch of elected officials. I met like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I met Liz Warren. I met Joe Biden. I saw Viola Davis speak at the women's conference. So it was cool to just be a part of everything. It was like, so all of those events where I got to see somebody like pretty up there was like very fun. But I think one of my favorite productions in Boston was when the Red Sox won the World Series.
Oh, man.
And so the parade was like in the middle of the day, downtown Boston, and because Boston sports is so like they're used to winning everything every year, like they were used to having like the Red Sox win the World Series and have this parade, or have the Patriots win the Super Bowl and have it be a parade. Like it's always a thing. And so we got a spot on a press truck. So I'm sitting in the back of a literal pickup truck, like on these benches strapped with like all these other like mayor's press office people, and I just got a chance to film the whole parade. It was so much fun, so chaotic, and I couldn't use I got to see like Red Sox players in the duck boats, like everything. It was like awesome, but but like so much of the footage I couldn't use because it's just like all of these insane people just like drunk in the middle of the day. Just like I saw one guy like go up on some dude's shoulders and then just smash like a beer over his head, and the whole crowd is screaming, and I'm like I can't. I went back to my boss. I'm like, there's a lot of this we can't use. So if you want to use some of it for B-roll, like in a new news program, that's fine. But just like be prepared. Like I did not like a lot of this is not acceptable for TV. So that was really
so funny.
And you just see like the whole city just like up. It was awesome.
That
was
like amazing.
The most memorable like moment of my life. But I mean, I'm happy to like other productions I've worked on are like just as rewarding. It's like that was just like it was fun, but it wasn't like, oh, it's just the height of everything. Like things I'm most proud of probably came from something I've done in like Bedford, because I was able to live stream a whole parade using a Sling Studio system, and some of our footage from that live stream got put on Channel 4 News.
Oh, cool.
Because they're doing expose on the citizen of the year in our town who has throat and mouth cancer. So they did a whole story on him, and they're like, can we use your footage? I'm like, yes, but you better credit me. So like that to me is more rewarding because it's like more community based. It's not just like, you know, like the excitement of it all, you know what I mean? And so yeah, so those are some of my favorites.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine like what that atmosphere would be like just in the middle of
it was cool.
Boston,
but you like
screaming people.
You're still just like a production person. You're just like, you have to work behind the scenes. You can't just go up to people like, oh my God, hi. Like you just have to pretend it's not a big deal. But one thing
in reality.
One thing I did learn is you can pretty much get into any building you want if you're wearing a press badge and have a camera in your hand. You're like, all right, go on through.
It's like, me?
They don't really ask questions, yeah. So that's a little tip for you.
Awesome. So I'm curious because I know, I mean, obviously you've been working in public access pretty much your whole career. I'm just curious as to how you like initially got involved. I know you started out working in the mayor's office. Were you like looking for jobs and then that just happened to kind of appear?
Yeah,
or?
I was literally working at a bar and then I got a message from, I studied film and new media at Wheaton College, and I had a really good relationship with the two professors of journalism and film and new media studies there. And they randomly just messaged me, like literally like the week I needed it the most, as I was just like applying to jobs, I was getting nowhere. And someone who used to who used to go to my school was like, yeah, we have 2 people leaving and we just need someone who like knows how to work a camera. And like literally within a week I did an interview, got the job, and it was just like this literal like job of my dreams was handed to me just out of nowhere. And
That's
it was
amazing.
It was a really great time. But I studied film in college. I was interested in, I used to do video work for startups over at this accelerator incubator. I'm not interested in marketing. You know, I like this way more, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not a very competitive person. You know, I like to sort of do things for other people instead of just like do things for the money. So I like, you know, I did the job. I wasn't thrilled about doing it. And, you know, just all throughout college, just kind of worked on different small productions and stuff like that. And I knew, you know, if it wasn't going to be like film, it would have been new media or journalism or something like that. Something, we didn't have a communications major, so this is like the more, you know. So, you know, and because of that, I was able to land this job in the middle of Boston. And since then, there's been more turnaround, and I've offered, when I was leaving there, I offered my job to another girl who was in the film and new media program and, you know, passed it along to her. So it's like the cycle continues, and so it's important to, like, you know, do things for the institutions that helped you out also.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you gotta, like, keep those connections.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very, very helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you have, like, a TV station at your school, or was it all just, like, kind of...
No, we didn't have anything like that. I mean, I went to boarding school, and they had editing stuff. Like, they had a small video production class, but they did not have a TV studio. All they had was like a theater. So yeah, nothing like that really. I mean, but I still started by just like making videos in high school just because it was just interesting to me. So, you know, and then I'm like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do in college, because I'm not I'm not really interested in studying biology or chemistry. That's not who I am. I want to go out there and do something.
I know, it's just like the act of like making things.
Something, yeah.
I like what you said before, because you were like in like kind of, you said like you were never interested in marketing and like doing stuff competitively. And then like I've noticed like in this specific part of the industry, it's very like, it's very chill. It's very relaxed. Everybody kind of works together.
Yeah, of course.
And I've noticed like there's just so much more like creative freedom here.
Yeah, of course.
Like just the fact that I can go to my boss or my production manager and say, hey, I kind of want to do this thing. And they're like, all right, well, let's see if it works. Like, and then like the fact that I have the opportunity to do something like this when I was like, I said during staff meeting, like, hey, I think I want to reach out to Katherine from Walpole Media. My boss was like, cool, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And like, the fact that like, you know, everybody pitches in to help out, so I feel like
that's how I feel. Yeah. And it's funny because I was telling my boss, I'm like, I got invited to go on this podcast in Marshfield. Like, I don't want it, you know, I can like work late if I need to. And she's like, just go do the podcast. It's fine. Like, this is like, you know, it's part of the industry. It's part of, you know, making connections.
Exactly.
It's like solidarity. So yeah, I I also agree. I think you have more creative freedom. I'm lucky to have a lot of creative freedom right now because it's like I don't have like a lot of things to take over. It's like I'm building up these new productions that are coming in the spring, and it's just really exciting because it's like, my direction, and you're not just sort of taking orders from in Boston it was just like, you go to go to the seaport and go film this ribbon cutting, or go down to Dorchester and like do this groundbreaking ceremony. It's like, this is more of a place where you can sort of express your ideas and refine your technical skills.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because I find like when you have creative freedom, you're more inclined to like make it really look really good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you build up like your different techniques and stuff. So I think it really lends itself to each other.
I know, this job has helped me learn so much. Like this time last year, like I mean I still can't set mic stands up. They are my worst enemy. But just like this time last year, like I couldn't picture myself like producing a podcast or like working like the light board or like the broadcast picks board. And it's like the fact that like now I have all these like technical skills under my belt just from this one place. And like it's such a cool experience. And like I said, learning by teaching people. I feel like working in public access gives you like such an opportunity to really like kind of perfect your skills and like learn all these new things. It's just been like, that's I think one of the most important things. Just like the fact that in my own experience, like I've been working here full time since August, and then interning like back and forth, and then going to part time. And just now that I've been here, even just since August, I feel like I have learned so much in such a short time. And just like because of the fact that there is like that creative freedom, and then you get much more like involved.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Even as an intern, and even I see with the interns here, like our interns like go out and like go film news stories, and then they come here and then edit them like all by pretty much like all by themselves. It's just, the most I know Jen does here is she's kind of like, hey, we got this happening, who wants to cover it? And then even for people who like don't even work here, like they get the opportunity. And I feel like that's true for pretty much most stations, that like people get the opportunity to kind of just like do their own thing and then be independent, and that is, I feel like, such a big part of learning something.
What do you edit on?
What's up?
What do you edit on?
What do I edit on? We use like the software. We use Final Cut mostly. Final Cut connected through EditShare. Do you do that at Walpole?
We have Premiere, but it's like just going off what you said about like having people like you learn like different editing programs that are going to be like used elsewhere, different how to work different cameras and stuff like that. So I totally agree with that, and just like learning as much as you can, and it's also like going down to the basics also, right? It's like you really learn how to set up the camera, like the settings, like exposure, all types of things, like things that you need to sort of make a production look good. And then you have the ability to sort of like learn a little bit from like your mistakes and like
definitely
so that you just keep improving. So it's good to have a place like this.
Exactly, because it's like it's very, the way it was described to me, it's very like low stakes. So like if like a shot doesn't look good, it's like, okay, this came out a little like dull, came out a little here's what you can do next time to sort of like, nobody ever like I guess like is annoyed if you make a small mistake. Because I remember my own personal experience. I worked in New York City my last semester of college before I came back here, and like it was such a cool experience. Like I learned so much about like television production, but I feel like I was very stressed, and it was very like high stakes,
New York
like
in general.
I know, and like getting like told like, oh, you're not doing this fast enough, when it was basically just like organizing releases. I was like, oh, okay. Meanwhile here it's like, like take your time, it's all good, I just am stressed because that's the way that I am. But it's just like to get that like sort of validation, so that it's like, hey, like the opportunity to like learn from your mistakes as opposed to like agonizing over them is a very nice thing. For sure. Yeah. For sure. But also then when you have something really good, like you feel really proud about it. And like, and that other people can use it, like if it's for a specific like group or whatever, like then they have a free video and you feel great. I know, it's so like Do you know, like, do you remember, like, the moment you managed to, like, troubleshoot something without someone's help, and you're just like,
yeah,
like, I did that in here one day. I was setting up for the live shows, and
that's what keeps me going. That's really like gets me. Yeah, like if something, not saying like if something's going wrong, I get excited, but if like I can fix something, it is like very satisfying, and then you know what's wrong in the future. I learned a lot about engineering in Boston and then in Bedford, so you know it's good to like have those like troubleshooting issues, and it's like I have an issue now that I have to go take care of in Walpole when I head out of here. But it's like these are like when you solve it, it's like good. Like now.
Oh my God, it's the best feeling. You feel like you could conquer the world when you manage to like fix an issue without having to like go to your boss or your manager or anything.
Definitely.
Like I think there's been times where I feel like I've probably announced it. I'm just like, I figured it.
Yeah.
I'm like the kind of person where I will get like annoyed until I figure out what the heck is happening.
Yeah.
Like there's like if Final Cut's being weird and like just restarting it doesn't fix the issue. Yeah. Which that's the funniest thing I've noticed, that like working in television is basically IT.
Yeah,
turn it off and on again.
Yeah.
Which is
a lot of the time,
the funniest thing ever.
You'd be surprised.
We had I was running a live show here one night, and then like 5 minutes before we're supposed to go on the air, like Broadcast Picks just decided to crash, and I was like,
yep. Here we go.
And so I was like, all right, we're going to pray that restarting it does the trick, because if it doesn't, oh no.
It's going to be bad, yeah.
But it's just like, it's so funny when it's like such a simple solution and you think it's like this massive problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I will like get in there and I'll just get like annoyed until I fix it. And like it'll be something so small.
Then, like if it doesn't work, you don't stop thinking about it. You're just like, oh, I just gotta, you know.
I know, and I'm like, no, there is a way to fix this. And someone will be like, no, it's fine. I'm like, no, it's not fine.
Yeah.
We're not leaving this alone.
Exactly.
But I know, it's such like an amazing feeling. Like I couldn't figure out one night in here why the teleprompter wasn't turning off, and like I remember seeing my boss do something, so I would just like, you just had to disconnect a cable and plug it back in, and then I fixed it, and I was like,
yeah.
Oh my God.
It's good. And then like, you know, you become a valuable member of the station, and then, you know, and then you just feel, you know, accomplished. And
I know.
It's all good. It's the best here. I do love working in this industry a lot.
It is. It's been a fun time. It's very like fun and interesting to like work in, like, because people obviously think of public access as just like, you know, boring. It's just like, oh, the channel that we just have on our cable that, you know, click.
Yeah.
But like people like my job is basically Parks and Rec but real life. It's great. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard people describe that before. Honestly. You know, I'm not complaining about that either. It's good to be a town person.
Oh yeah.
Like you should know about your community. You should be
involved.
It gives you a perspective of like you know, not just your community but the world around you as well, and like people live different lives, you know.
Exactly.
I feel like a lot of time, you know, especially us as young people, we're very involved in our own circles online, and we don't have the diversity of opinions that like you would even get from like, you know, talking to your neighbor. And it's like, I think that's a really, you know, in a place like this where anyone can come in and sort of express their ideas is like, you know, that's important, because people should hear diverse opinions and ideas and be able to understand each other, because otherwise it's just like, you're not learning, you're not challenging yourself, you're not, you know, engaging with your community, you know, you're blocking off, you put your blinders on to everything else. So, yeah.
It's also like very interesting to see like when people come in and produce stuff, like just you kind of catch a glimpse into like people's lives and what they're passionate about, which I think is a really cool thing.
Definitely.
Just like to see like what other people are, because you know you get so invested in like your own projects and your own work, and then like you get to see kind of what other people are doing, and it's always like really interesting. I always like really enjoy it, just seeing like when someone's like, hey, can you help me figure out why this thing's happening, and then I kind of like get to see what they're working on. I'm like, oh, this is neat.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Very nice.
Yeah, it's a very rewarding industry we work in, and I wish like more people like could see that.
I know. That's why I want to like, I have an opportunity this summer to hire an intern, and I'm probably gonna go just right to Wheaton College and be like, talk to my professor and be like, give me your student that has the chops but needs a little bit of like help get like breaking in, like a little bit of who needs a little bit of experience, because that's how I felt when I was in college. Like I felt like I could, you know, make video and I was fine, but I wasn't like I didn't completely accept, like, we had someone who made a feature-length film in my college. Yeah, my friend Michael Christie. Shout out to Michael Christie. He actually told me in college, you should work at your community access station, like, just start off. And look at where I'm at now. It's my true passion. But he was like a filmmaker. He, like, spent like 3 times the amount of time, like, on video work than anyone else did. It's like, he doesn't need a handout for an internship. He'll be fine. But, like, someone like me, where I'm sort of beginning to, like, learn all of this and, like, get a sense of the basics and, like, how it can be applied, and a genuine interest in it, like, gives, not someone just like me, but someone that could, like, use this. Because I do believe that, like, it's like a videographer's, for many videographers, a kept secret. It's like, if you want to do video full time, you can go out and try and apply to, like, marketing jobs, and you're going to get really challenged. And it's like a very saturated market, especially in Boston. But, PEG stations give you those same skills and resources, an opportunity to sort of create, and you wouldn't even know about it.
Exactly.
So I'm just trying to bring more awareness to that by connecting with other people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know, like, we've been talking a lot about kind of the future. Yeah. The future of PEG. I know, like, some of the challenges, we've already discussed that a little bit, just some of the challenges we're facing is just the way people consume media is changing. And I know, like, other than that, like, what do you think is, like, some challenges, like, our stations are probably going to face in the coming years?
I think if we don't, I think it depends station by station. There's some very well-established stations, especially in Massachusetts, like New TV.
They're amazing.
BNN, like, these stations exist, and they are, like, a community resource that people, are aware of. I think stations that really kind of only focus on government or education might be a little bit threatened, because besides, like, the core people in town who have an interest in that and, like, don't attend those meetings, like, they might not even know about it. So I think it's important to sort of showcase what you can offer the community. And I think that's, like, a great way to show, to keep people coming back. Because also, if you make a video for someone or work with someone on video, and then they're very pleased with the product and they use it for their own thing, like, there will be interest elsewhere, because people will see it and they'll say, oh, I have something that I would like covered, or I would like to go check it out, or I might be interested in starting my own show. So I think it's, again, I touched on this earlier, like, treating these places as community centers, like places where people can go and learn and, offer classes, have open houses. Yeah, again, like, you were talking about Twitch streaming, bring in, like, new technology, like, that all the kids are doing. These kinds of things will create a culture and will have it easier for volunteers to be involved. There's tons you can do. It's really just what comes down to it, like, caring and, like, making an effort to try and engage in the community. And then also, maybe, like I said earlier, in the future, like, finding a way where these shows can be broadcasted in an even more accessible way than just a cable channel or YouTube videos. I think that's very much key to it. I know that legislation's trying to be passed where, like, streaming services like Netflix and Hulu that use local infrastructure would be taxed instead of the cable bills. I think that's a great idea, and I think it also, like, lends itself to modernizing these things. So it's like, if streaming services are being taxed, like, how can we implement the cable station in the streaming service? It's just continuing on as, like, this industry changes.
Exactly.
So, it's the same with, like, print media. It's like, you have print media, it's just sort of, like, moving online and modernizing, and and we have to do the same. Otherwise, if this is the case with individuals and stations, if you're not challenging yourself,
exactly,
like, you remain stagnant, and I don't think anyone wants that.
Yeah, and I think it's like important to kind of like you said, modernize and like go with like different non-traditional forms of media, which I think is like a big thing that stations kind of need to, like, we're starting to kind of do that here. And then I know like Walpole, especially since you guys are kind of building up, like you guys definitely will have potential to do that, which is like, it's a really cool thing because like it's a lot to like try to learn and try to follow where things are going, because I feel like media just rapidly changes
all the time,
more than we can even follow. Like I can't even imagine how our parents feel trying to figure out but I can't just turn on the TV, like it's just trying to keep up. I think that's one of the biggest things that stations like us have to kind of pay attention to is just like just the changing landscape of it, and then how people are sort of nobody watches TV like the normal way
in the
anymore
sense that we like grew up with.
Exactly. Like, you know, I go home, I stream on Netflix and Hulu. Like I don't really watch cable anymore. It
is different, but I do think like there's different ways that these you know, especially now with like the election coverage, like people are looking to watch CNN, but so many people have cut the cord. It's like you still have an opportunity to see that by like, you know, YouTube TV and all these different things. There's also a streaming service called Pluto TV, which is completely free. And I know myself, I have an antenna, so like I like to get those channels. I like to, because I'm in this, I want to see sort of like local things, like local Boston things also. Check out Pluto TV. It's pretty interesting.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, it's free TV. It's like they have different channels based on different things. Like they have a whole like food channel. They have like a whole channel of reruns of like Maury and like I'm serious, and like Nick Cannon's Wild and Out. Like they have like just whole channels that are just one show.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's like that's how they, you know, these shows. I imagine like they were bought and like they're using ad time, but it looks like just like you're flipping through channels. So I think things like that in the future, what people are going to see a little bit more, because it's like, I think people had cable. I think they switched to streaming service because they're like, we don't need this. But then they don't know any news because it's all on the cable networks still. So I think PEG as a like concept entity that exists in this country needs to find a way to like get in there somehow, get in the stream and the, you know, information channels, and I think we'll be set to go. That's like the dream. This is something I've been thinking about since you sent me the questions.
I know, it's just trying to figure it out. I feel like it's always the hardest part. Because I feel like once you come up with something, then all of a sudden there's like a new trend or whatever to sort of be like, okay, well now how do we go towards it? I think it's like, because you were talking to me about this when I first like kind of brought this up, how we're both young. And so it's probably going to be kind of, I guess, our job to like sort of figure out where it's going.
You know, we have to be like, you know, the passionate ones here.
Exactly.
Be like, go. You know, which can be hard sometimes.
Because
I can be low energy.
Same.
Let's be real.
It's like, even I don't even understand it sometimes. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't know what people are doing. I don't know.
You know, I'm 25, and you know, it's funny because I see like kids like with the TikToks, and I'm like, this is the thing that's separating me from this generation. God. I'm like, this is the line that I'm now crossing into my old age, because I don't get it. I usually am on top of these things, but it's like, this is just something that
I can help you out with that. I'm an avid TikTok watcher. I am slightly ashamed of it, but it's only because it fills the void that Vine left.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like if I tried to ask my boss, like, hey, can we make a TikTok channel? He'd probably be like, what?
Yeah.
Can we make a what?
That might be a good idea.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God, can you imagine?
I can't imagine my staff trying to do Renegade. I feel like my friends would enjoy it, but
it's just like forced like team bonding. Everyone has to do the Renegade right now. No, this is mandatory.
I feel like I tried to make a TikTok once and I couldn't even figure out the app, and I was like, oh God, I'm old. It's so funny.
But I think that's just how, you know, the times change and how, you know, industry changes. So we, you know,
you gotta keep up with it. I think that's just the biggest thing you can take away from that is like, you just have to try your best to keep up with it, because if you stay like trying to do the same things, like it's obviously like, you know, you're gonna fall behind
for sure.
And in an ever-changing industry like this one, you gotta find ways to really like keep up with the trends, keep up with how people are watching, keep up with what people are watching, to sort of figure out, okay, like how can we get in on that?
Yeah, exactly.
And so that kind of leads me to, it does kind of lead me to, so I just want to know, like, you know, we both kind of got into this industry based on like connections and working on internships, things like that. So I just want to know, like, what advice would you give to people who are looking to kind of start their career in either television or any other media, anything like that?
I think it's important to have, like, you know, the basics down for sure. Like, know be prepared with, you know, a little bit of everything, of audio, you know, video editing, just some sense of it, some sense of all of that, like going into it, being able to, like, you know, articulate your interests and also like what you've been able to do, just like, even if it's like one or two things, like no one, in my experience, people aren't going to sit down and watch your whole portfolio of work. But if you can have, like, you know, a few things that you can say, like, I worked on this and it was rewarding because of this, or I accomplished this and through it I learned this and this ignited you know, being able to sort of give examples and just explain why they were relevant to you and like why, you know, how you know, it sets you aside from like other people. I would say, like, just walk into your local community access station and sort of get a sense for what's going on. It's like right in town. You know, I've told so many people, just like go to your local access station. Like, you will be surprised at like what you can find there. And just like, you know, really just like walking in there, seeing what they have to offer. If you want to take classes and stuff, if you're studying in college, just, you know, go look for around the area for like job postings. People are always willing to like train and hire people. I think PEG is very forgiving in like how they can take someone with like minimal experience and really like make a well-rounded like individual and videographer and stuff like that. And be open to other things too. You know, I know people who started off in Boston as videographers and they became engineers. Like, you know, you never know where you're going to end up. But I think just sort of being open to like, you know, being aware that the industry, even in, you know, PEG access, is competitive because it's video work and it's hard to find full-time video work in any sense.
Anywhere, pretty much.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, being confident enough with what you're able to do and how you can be set aside as a person would be good. Or just like start, you know, if you're super young, start working at your public access station, start interning. You will learn the skills so quickly, and you have the mind that can be melded to like keep those skills for like well into the future. So like, you know, starting off young, just like learning as much as you can and keeping that interest going. These are all things that would be very useful. And then just being able to like explain why, you know. So, and just be a good person, you know. Just don't be like...
Don't be a jerk.
Just don't be a jerk and you'll probably be fine.
Pretty much.
That's how I live my life, basically.
That's a good mantra to have. Yeah. Just, you know, try to be nice.
Yeah. So, or, you know, just email me and I'll find a job.
Yeah, connect with Katherine on LinkedIn.
Find me on LinkedIn. Yeah. I can probably help you out.
All right. Well,
so, yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to say, or?
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
this is
thank
great.
you so much for coming. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear this. I'm excited to share this with everyone and say, look, I was on a podcast and I'm not lying. People invited me here.
Doesn't it feel so cool to do a podcast? Yeah. It makes me feel like
I'm
so legit.
I'm really trying to get that going at Walpole, so hopefully it'll happen in the future. And
definitely.
then I can ask you to come and we can do this all over again.
I am down.
Right?
And I would love to come by and like check out your station one day.
All right, deal?
Yeah.
Shake on
it. Can I reach? Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Hayley.